really just means to come home to our bodies. I'm going to have my hands on my legs so I can really just sort of feel my legs, my seat, my feet, whatever is touching the ground. You are welcome to keep your eyes open if that feels best in your body, or you can close your eyes now. We'll just begin with a little bit of sensory awareness. So you might notice the temperature in the room where you're practicing, or the feeling of the clothes on your skin. Perhaps there's a particular sound, my voice or the birds outside your window. And then just notice how you're feeling today. We are alone together, practicing independently in our homes for the most part, but able to join in community through this platform, and what a gift. So just notice how you're landing today. Any tension or discomfort somewhere in your body, strong sensation. If there's ease or the desire to move, what is it like to be in stillness? Sometimes it's uncomfortable, you might feel fidgety. Are you able to feel your breath moving? Sometimes it's nice to connect to your breathing by laying a hand on your chest and one on your abdomen as well. So the full path of your breath from your nostrils, down your throat, into your chest, your ribs, and your diaphragm. The invitation to breathe deeply. It might not be happening yet. A lot of us are experiencing anxiety, living in a state of overwhelm and elevation right now. So your breath might feel a little short, a little ragged, shallow in your chest. And simply by touching that area of your body, so your upper abdomen area, you just invite the breath to eventually travel down. And if you'd like, you can take a breath in with me through your nose and out your mouth. If that feels good, you can continue to breathe in and out through your nose. And if at any time you need to let something go, you can always take a big exhale out the mouth. And we'll just end here, our centering, with a little bit of gratitude. I'm going to bring my palms together. And this is just a symbol of honor of myself and for all of you for showing up for this practice. You might be more comfortable just covering your heart with your hands, particularly if you're feeling a little tender today. And maybe just taking the time to thank yourself for showing up here, carving this time out of your day for something to do for yourself. And gratitude for this community coming together to support each other in this collective healing that we're all going to have to go through, this transformation that we know is inevitable. And for any amount of this practice. So yoga doesn't mean touching your toes or making a strong sound with your breath. It means coming together, your mind and your body, whatever that connection and collectivity means to you. So in honor of that, with gratitude, you might just bow your head towards your hands, your mind towards your heart. And release your hands when you feel ready. So we'll move into a little bit of posture work, so our physical practice. We've been seated here for a bit. If you want to switch to cross of your legs, that might be more comfortable. If at any time you need to stretch one or both legs out, that's fine as well. And you can also transition to a chair. So I'm going to start from the top of the body here. So you might just come into a comfortable tall seat here, so a long spine. And we'll just gently drop the chin toward the chest and start to move the chin slowly toward one shoulder and over toward the opposite shoulder. So you can do this really, really slowly. And what you're doing here is just tracking sensations. So where does this land for you? And this really simple, gentle movement might be great for your body. If you want to feel a little bit more, you might start to lift the chin and drop your ear towards your shoulder. And again, this is slow, intentional movement, ear towards shoulder. Okay. You want to start to match your breath with your movement. One side could be an inhale, and one side an exhale. And those of you who want to take full neck rolls, you're welcome to do that as well. Really gently dropping the head back and noticing where there's already tension gathered in your body. So do you tend to clench your teeth or suction the tongue to the top of the mouth? See if you can relax in your jaw. And if you find a particular sensation that really feels good, maybe just stay there and breathe into it. So I tend to be tighter on the left side of my neck, so I usually pause for a couple breaths with my right ear dropped toward my right shoulder. And you're just getting really curious about what it is you feel. We're not going for a particular or specific feeling, just the feeling of being in our bodies. And if that's really working for you, you can continue to stretch through the neck. You can do your neck rolls in the opposite direction. Otherwise, we'll just come back to center and just take a breath to pause and notice what has already begun to shift. So do you feel a little bit more looser in your neck, your jaw? And maybe there isn't a change, and that's okay too. We'll just take a couple shoulder rolls here. So on an inhale, shrugging the shoulders toward the ears and dropping them back down behind you. So I'm taking a really exaggerated roll. Yours might be a lot smaller than mine. I just want you to be able to see this sort of retracted action of drawing the shoulders up and back. And notice how this creates some space for your chest, your collarbones. And once you've maybe gone 3 in one direction, you can do the other direction. So the shoulders go up and then forward. And this is a protraction, so it feels like a rounding in the upper back. And again, when you're done with that, and you might not be yet, no rush, and just notice again how that landed. Are you a little bit more looser in the chest, the upper back, the shoulder area? And breath in, and breath out. Good. So for this next action, I'm going to come off of my lift. That might not be a choice in your body. You can always switch to a different lift or a chair. It's just easier for me to be closer to the ground, and I'm going to use my blocks instead on either side of me. So this will just start to integrate some of the action that we've been doing for the neck and the shoulders. As you inhale, lift your arms out and up. As you exhale, bring your left hand to the block, or maybe your left forearm comes all the way down, and you reach long through this arm. Okay? So those of you who are still working with some tension in the neck, you can carefully drop your ear towards your shoulder or look toward the floor. And those of you who want a little bit of shoulder stretch, extend your arm long. Okay? If it's working for you to have a full side bend here, the arm comes alongside the ear and you really root down through that hip. Breath in, breath out. And inhale carefully back to center. Just pause. If anything needs to change about your seat, go ahead and change that. Otherwise, second side. So fingertips or forearm down. Inhale, get long from your hip to your fingertips. And it could be different side to side here, okay? So maybe you don't necessarily need a stretch in the neck on this side and you stick with the side bend, or you can have the arm out. And you might imagine the breath moving all the way up the side of the body, so opening into the lungs. And then when you're ready, we'll come back up. Maybe just one more breath of pause here. Let your body integrate the movement. Yeah. All right, so we'll start to move into the lower half of the body. So last seated posture before we come to hands and knees. So if it's comfortable, go ahead and bring your feet about mat distance. So if I was facing the front of my mat, my feet would probably be about as wide. And I would brace myself on my hands here. So if you do work at a computer a lot, it might be more comfortable for you to have fists than to bear weight into your palms. And we're just gonna pause here and start to drop the knees from side to side. So again, this is really gentle. Some of you who want some mobility here, you can go to the end range of your hip joint motion here and drop the knees all the way toward the floor. And this might land as a hip stretch right around the joint. And just go side to side like this. And this is more concentrated lower body work, so hips and legs. If you do want to start to integrate the shoulders, the next time your knees come to the left, you might just reach your right arm around and back behind you. So big opening there from the shoulder blade. And then we're doing breath and movement work. So you'll inhale through center and exhale, maybe knees to the right, left arm reaches way back. Okay, so if you're flowing, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. If this is feeling good in your body, maybe one more each side. You can always pause. Good. You might notice when you pause and seated this time that you're starting to build a little bit of heat, so the temperature might be changing in your body. And we'll transition from there to an all fours position. I'm going to use a blanket underneath my knees. If you have sensitive knees, it might be a good choice for you to do the same. And you're welcome, if you're using them, to bring your blocks in front of you. Okay. So I'm going to face you for this first one. So those of you who do computer work, it might be nice to just turn your hands around here and stretch the fronts of your wrists. So my fingertips are spread really, really wide here. I can see the floor between each finger and my elbows are bent, okay? So if that feels accessible, you can lean the weight of your hips back and you might get this nice diagonal stretch up your forearms. If that's way too much, your arm comes in front of you, fingertips down, and it's that same action of a little bit of bend in the elbows, a spread in the fingers, and then pushing on that hand to stretch the forearm, okay? Second side, if you're doing this seated. Breath in and out. Yeah, and then if you were here, go ahead and turn your hands back around. And we'll just take one hand, come to the back of that hand and stretch the back of the wrist. Okay. Stay in all fours if you're doing this in seated. Same thing, just use your fingers to access the stretch. And then second side when you feel ready. And again, you're just noticing sensation here. You don't want anything to feel sharp or acute or painful, but it could be a little bit intense and uncomfortable. So that feeling of the muscles extending, getting blood flow to them. And then it might be nice this time to just sit back and shake your hands. So we're gonna bear weight through the hands for this next sequence. So that's why we stretch the wrists. If it's okay, you can come to the tops of your feet and your palms. You can always switch to a fist support if that works better in your body. So this is a cat-cow flow. We'll integrate breath and movement the same way we did in that seated flow. So as you inhale, it might just be your chest and chin, or your tailbone might rise toward the ceiling as well. And then as you exhale, you round in the other direction. Okay, so this is cow, and this is your breath in. Cat, your breath out. And those of you who wanted some shoulder opening, this is the shoulders coming back behind you, that retraction. And then as you exhale, round, really push the upper back up toward the ceiling. Last round here, breath in. And breath out. And then if it's comfortable, taking a wider position with your knees, so maybe mat distance, my toes are gonna come to touch. And I'm gonna walk my hands forward and gently push my hips back. So this is a child's posture. And this can be a little bit more of a dynamic posture. So those of you who wanted some hip opening, the wider your knees are, the more you're gonna feel. And there's also space for the front of the body there. Okay, and then maybe you are able to access your breathing a little bit more deeply in your abdomen, and it's creating space in your lower back. So my head is lifted so you can hear me, but you can place your forehead on a block or all the way down to the mat. So we'll just take a breath in and out there. And then when you're ready, rising back up to your hands and knees, and the knees will want to come back underneath the hips. So for today, this is probably going to be the most active that we get. Hopefully, if we do this again, I can get into some standing work. But for now, we're just going to take a high kneeling position in the middle of the mat. So if you weren't using a blanket before, you might want to. And we'll step the right foot forwards. This is a lunge. Back toes can curl under. Okay, so for balance and support, this is a great place to use blocks. I'm going to turn around to face you so you can see there's the high height, second highest height, right? So that'll really support you there. Okay, or you can bring your hands to your front thigh. If you want a little bit of additional shoulder opening here, I'm going to turn around. So you can either grab hold of your elbows, which is a gentle way to open in the shoulder joints. If it's accessible, you can take your hands all the way together at your lower back. Okay? So we're here in this lunge where you can start to really draw your hips down and forward. Big opening for the front of that hip, the thigh. Notice as sensation builds, the tendency to either hold your breath or come back to that shallow breathing pattern. See if you can really fill your body up. Okay, so if you are using blocks, they're really useful to transition. Otherwise, you land back in that high kneeling posture. And you'll step your left foot forward, just asking yourself what needs to shift on this side. Okay, so the support of your toes, whether or not you use blocks. Okay. So I'm going to offer a different way to open the shoulders this time. You take what we call goalpost or cactus arms here. So you can see my elbows are about level with my shoulders. I'm going to really draw my shoulders back and open my chest up. And then if you did so on the other side, you might come forward in the hips. Big stretch here. As the sensation gets stronger, the breath might too. And then a slow exit from that posture. Again, you might take a seat. It's comfortable for me to sit on my heels. It might be more comfortable for you to have a block between your ankles or a large book if you're using one. Notice any elevation in your breath, in your body temperature. If it helps you to stay focused in your body, you can do this with your eyes closed. All right. So we're going to end the movement part of the practice down on our backs. So I'm going to place all props out of the way. If you're not comfortable down on your back, you can do this in seated or in a chair as well. So the first stretch is for the hips. This is going to be a figure four. I'm going to cross my right ankle over my left thigh. Arms can come out to the sides or even back to that goalpost shape. If you're already feeling quite a lot here, this is where you want to stay. So sensation is probably located mostly around your right hip. If you want a little more, you can slide your hands through that gap between the legs and grab hold of the back of your left thigh. Some of you who are familiar with this stretch, you can also do the shin. What you want to avoid is rounding the shoulder girdle up and off the mat just to get your hips to come towards you. And then really relaxing for the nervous system to sway. So finding a little bit of movement here, a little bit of action. Just notice if you're able to access your breathing here in a reclined position. And then we'll switch sides. Again, you might take that time to pause, just let that stretch land or dissipate if it was a lot of sensation. And then left ankle over right thigh. Doesn't have to look the same as the first side. So you're here, or maybe here. And some of you might be here as well. And just maybe start to notice any rhythm in your breathing. So now that we're reclining, maybe the temperature has gone down, the breath feels a little bit more balanced, and you're able to really locate feeling somewhere in your body, maybe left hip area. Breath in and breath out. Okay. So I'm going to offer a little bit of breath work, and we're just going to rest for a moment together here to end our practice. So if you're comfortable on your back, you could have a rolled up blanket underneath your knees and stretch your legs out. It's nice to have a pillow there as well or behind your head. I'm going to come up to seated, and you are welcome to do that as well, particularly if you feel like you can breathe better. So when you feel comfortable, if you're on your back, you can close your eyes. Any position you're in, you can have your hand on your chest and your abdomen again, and just notice where you feel the breath move. So this is what's called an extended exhale breathing. And it's just a way of coming down in the nervous system. So again, a lot of us are experiencing this sort of collective anxiety right now, and even some deep grief as well. So you're just gonna inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose, but see if you can make the exhale longer than the inhale. So you can just kind of do this intuitively, or if you're like me, it might be helpful to count the breath. So I'm going to inhale for 3 seconds and see if I can exhale for 5 seconds. So if you're breathing more deeply, your inhale might be 4 or 5 seconds long. And your exhale might be 5, 6, even 7 seconds long. It's a good way to focus the mind, counting the breath in, inviting the length on the breath out. Notice what, if any, effect this attention and control of your breath has had over your mind, your thoughts. If you are comfortable closing your eyes, you might just take a moment to scan the body, starting with your feet. So noticing how your toes feel, your ankles, your calves, fronts of your knees, backs of your knees. And just in your mind's eye, travel all the way up through your body. What you notice, what you can relax, what still needs some attention, what's still speaking quite loudly. So I do want to honor everyone's time. It is 2:30 now. If you do need to log off, no worries. This recording will be accessible later on. Otherwise, I'm just going to end here with a couple suggestions for things that you can do on your own between classes. And one is just to notice sensory experience. So I tried a lot in class to bring your attention to parts of the body or a part of your breath, something that's in the room. So if you feel stuck up in your head, sometimes it's nice to just notice something that's physically around you. I notice my dog sleeping in the corner, for example, or I notice that my feet are cold and I need to put socks on, something that brings you back to the present. And then just ending with a heart of gratitude. It's really easy right now to consider what we don't have, what we're missing out on, what has been canceled or changed that is out of our control. What we can control is being thankful that we have homes, that we have enough food, whatever it is in your life and in your heart that you have gratitude for. So if you'd like, we'll just end as we began in a centering posture. If you're still lying down, you're certainly welcome to stay there, or you can join me back in seated. A nice place to just lay hands on your body, cover your heart, or bring your hands together in gratitude right in front of your heart space. And I'm just going to share this brief quote from the Bhagavad Gita, which is a traditional yogic text. It says, "On this path, no effort is wasted, no gain is ever reversed. Even a little of this practice will shelter you from great sorrow." So in honor of our half hour together today, I just want to take the time to honor all of you for showing up, for the care that you're taking for yourself right now, probably for your families as well. to honor that this time is unusual and challenging and difficult, and anything that you can do to take care of yourself will reverberate into our community. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for having us. You can always check out Sea Change's work as well, seachangeyoga.org, to learn more about what we do. And if you'd like, I'm going to just breathe one more time, and you might just match your breath with mine. Inhale through the nose and exhale out the mouth. Bowing chin to chest, mind to heart, in deep honor and gratitude. Thank you so much for practicing today. I'm going to hang out for a couple minutes if anybody has questions about class, about things they can do on their own, or any questions about Sea Change. And I hope to see you all again if you can practice. I'm sure Andrea will send out some links for subsequent classes. Thanks very much.